4 o'clock, a day-long search for a missing 2-year-old Canton girl continues at this hour. Sam Matheny is live in Canton with what we're learning. Sam.
Hey Lizzie, I'm here at the intersection of Custer Place and 5th Avenue. Right behind me is where Canton police still have Custer Place blocked off as they're searching for 2-year-old Chloe Russell. Police say her mother called this morning reporting her missing, saying she last saw Chloe around 6:30. She was last seen wearing blue and white pajamas. Local and state police officers are here searching for her. Now, state troopers have periodically flown an airplane overhead. Drones have even been used, and Farmington police brought in a canine. Canton police addressed residents on Facebook who are speculating about Chloe's disappearance, saying, quote, "This is not the time to be pointing fingers."
Something like this, to this extent, it's actually, not very often. Because a lot of times it generally ends up being one of those things where the kids, maybe in the house somewhere, in a place that normally the child wouldn't be.
For now, Canton police are asking residents or anyone in the area to stay away from the area that they have blocked off. That's because any movement, they say, could interfere with the search efforts. For now, live in Canton, Sam Matheny, 25 News.